Hey, what is up, guys? Your average moviegoer here. Decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I love movies. I'll also be doing games and whatever else I feel like reviewing, but I just felt like doing a YouTube channel, so I'll pitch in my thoughts. And I decided my first movie would be about Batman vs Superman because that's the last, I guess, big movie that I went and saw. And I know that there's been a lot of it's already gotten a ton of media coverage, so I'm sure everyone's already seen it by now, but I just like to talk about movies, so I figured, why not? So I will be upfront. I will be talking about spoilers in this review, but I will be putting a link after I make the video to skip to the end where I just kind of give my final verdict and won't talk about spoilers there. So if you just want to skip into what I think of the movie, you can jump there or just sit and listen. So honestly, okay, well, so I think the movie was awesome, but there's a couple things that I need to preface this by. I've never really read any comics, so I don't have any basis there. I actually enjoyed Man of Steel, one of the few that did, and I think that's all that I kind of had to preface that with. If anything comes up, obviously I can just mention it later. So I think the best way to go about this is just kind of start off with the cast and then work into the story and everything. As I'm sure you've all heard, Ben Affleck kills it. I'm one of the many, many people that had to eat my own words after they announced Ben Affleck and all the memes. My favorite one was the one with Johnny Depp and little Freddie Rushmore when they're just like sitting on the park bench, and he's like, "Oh, did you announce it was the new Batman?" And he's like, "Ben Affleck," and then he's holding him and they're crying. It's stupid, but that made me laugh. And every time I thought of Ben Affleck, that's what I thought of. And then you see him in this movie, and he's awesome. I've always been a Ben Affleck fan. I don't think he's like amazing or anything, but he always does a solid job. And I don't, believe it or not, I actually liked Daredevil. But before you all rip me to shreds, I watched it for the first time when I was probably, 10, 12? So, come on. So anyways, Ben Affleck kills it. Henry Cavill, turns in a pretty solid performance. He seems kind of, he's not bad, but he's just kind of, he's just there, you know. And actually was listening to a review or reading a review or something later, and I guess, I don't think he was just talking about how he's in it for the money, and I don't think that's the only reason he's doing it, but in my opinion, it definitely shows in this movie that, like I said, he doesn't do a bad job, but he's just kind of there. He's not amazing, he's not terrible, he's just, he shows up, he beats up Batman a little bit, okay, cool. Gal Gadot is awesome for the little part that she's in. Now, for Jesse Eisenberg, which is one of the most, what's the word? One of the most, oh my gosh, controversial. There we go. One of the most controversial characters in the film. I really liked him, but also, I need to preface that by saying I really like Jesse Eisenberg already. So what I think he did in the movie was, because I've just seen everyone saying, "Well, yeah, he's just playing Jesse Eisenberg," and he is, but he still puts his own spin on it. So he's not like Jason Statham, who, don't get me wrong, I love Jason Statham, but he's Jason Statham in every movie. And Jesse Eisenberg, to me, he always has that core Jesse Eisenberg, but then also puts little flavors on top. Because the biggest thing that I like to compare him with is take his role in Now You See Me and compare it to Zombieland. Both Jesse Eisenberg, both very Jesse Eisenberg, but where in Now You See Me, he's kind of has a more cocky, I do what I want attitude, whereas in Zombieland, he's just a scared, schizophrenic little weirdo. So kind of the same thing, where he's still Jesse Eisenberg, that core Jesse Eisenberg, but he puts his own spin on it. So if you like Jesse Eisenberg, I think you'll enjoy him. If you don't, you won't like him. I saw a lot of complaints about the story, and I don't understand why, honestly. I do have some complaints about stuff that did happen, but overall, I was seeing people saying it's hard to follow and whatever, and I don't understand how it was hard to follow. I mean, maybe no one was just paying attention, or maybe they were expecting it to just be one big fight scene from start to finish, because that's not what it is. There's little bits of action and fight scene thrown in until the very end, when you have your classic Zack Snyder last 30 minutes of the movie is all just CG fight fest, which was awesome, by the way. But throughout the movie, I thought it was pretty good. The Justice League stuff, it could have done without it, but I didn't think it was as intrusive as everyone else did. What I think they should have done, though, And I don't know how it would have worked with getting Wonder Woman into the fight, but they should have taken that part where she's going through the email that Bruce Wayne sends her and does all the little Justice League cameos. What they should have done was save that for an after credit scene, I think. And so you just have, I don't know, again, I don't know what plausible reason you would have for doing this, but you'd have Bruce Wayne just kind of browsing those files that he stole from Lex, and then he stumbles upon that in some like secret encrypted little file, you know, hidden away in the whole thing that he stole, and then kind of end the movie on that, because I thought that would have been pretty cool. But, you know, what can you do? The whole thing with Doomsday, I didn't really have a problem with. I thought the CGI was great. The choreography was all really good for what stuff was actual real and not just CGI. The actual fight between Batman and Superman, I was upset that it wasn't longer, but I went and saw it a second time just the other night. I saw it first time, I think the Saturday after it opened, and then I saw it a second time just yesterday or the day before. And watching that second time kind of changed my opinion a little bit, just because I wanted the fight between Batman and Superman to be longer, because I mean, that's the movie, is Batman versus Superman. But the more I think about it, the more how they handled it in the movie, I thought was a pretty plausible way of doing it. They wouldn't have been able to drag it out without it becoming extremely unrealistic. And I mean that by, basically, it's, you know, so Superman shows up, Batman's got all his automated turrets, whatever, they don't do anything, and he hits him with the kryptonite gas, and so he beats the crap out of him until that kryptonite gas wears off, and then Superman takes his turn and kind of rinse repeat a second time. And so, unless he would have been able to make more kryptonite gas grenades, which, had they drug that out into like 5 or 6, then that would have just been ridiculous, because it's like, okay, by that point, Superman's got to see it coming, how's he gonna still hit us with this? So that would have been a little silly, but I think if they would have found a way to drag it out a little bit more, I would have enjoyed that. Maybe that'll happen with the extended edition. The extended edition's adding like another 30 minutes, so I'm actually really excited to see what that adds. So then, yeah, the fight with Doomsday, actually, the actual fight is so cool. And again, I haven't read the comics. From what I understand, in the comics, Doomsday is he serves two purposes. Basically, when they kill him, he comes back and grows stronger, and they put some of that in the movie, where they would like nuke him with all the missiles, and then he would kind of shed and grow more spikes and whatever. That was pretty cool. And the other purpose that he serves is to kill Superman, which I'll get to that. So the fight with Doomsday is really cool. Obviously, he looks idiotic. Like, everyone was making the jokes about him looking like a warped Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. He really does. At least at first. When he starts kind of upgrading, maybe it's just because the fights go faster, so you don't really get a focus on him. But as he kind of upgrades, he does start to look cooler. Oh, one thing I did miss was I'm sure this will be everyone's favorite scene, is when Batman goes to save Superman's mom and just busts in there and, you know, wrecks all those guys. Like, everyone says, straight out of the Arkham games. That was amazing. I'm really hoping that with the extended edition, I don't see how they could extend that scene, but if they add more scenes like that, that would be amazing. Oh, and one other thing that I missed was, I've seen a lot of contention between when Batman finally cools off, when, you know, he's got his foot over Superman's neck. He's like, "Oh, save Martha." I saw a lot of people complaining about that, and maybe it's just because how I was raised, you know, to have lots of respect for your parents, but that, I really like that. That really touches me, you know. I mean, I don't cry during movies, but, you know, it makes you, it brings out the feels, it tugs at your heartstrings. So that really got to me, you know, because it's in that moment he's able to see that, wow, this guy, while he's on his deathbed, I'm about to stab his face with a shard of kryptonite, sorry. The only thing that he's thinking about is saving his mother, and that is really cool to me. So that, I thought, was excellent. So then we get to the very end, where he takes the spear and kills Doomsday, and, you know, kind of like everyone said, that it was just a little silly that he was able to fly, where before he was getting hit with basically just wisps of gas, and that totally knocked him out, and then he's got this huge chunk of kryptonite like this big, inches from his face, and he can still fly. I mean, you know, it worked for the movie just in the sense of kind of heightening the emotion and whatnot, but it was kind of silly, just because it was one of those where you have to be like, okay, yeah, you know, it's like with a superhero movie, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but there's also certain rules that it has to abide by. So, like, for example, one of the things that I was able to let go in that awesome Batman scene when he's beating all the guys up, there's a point where it's where he jumps over that crate and, like, locks some grappling hooks into it, and then he jumps over it and, like, flips it over his head and totally throws it. And it's one of those things where, I mean, it looks cool, but you have to go, okay, that's not physically possible. He couldn't really do that. But it's a superhero movie, so I'll let it slide. And so that almost Superman flying with that kryptonite kind of just breaks the superhero laws, I guess. You know, it's like, well, no, he can't do that because kryptonite's his weakness. That's like if it if in a movie if someone got like a broken leg, if their leg broke at their knee, but then they just run full sprint, you can't do that. You're not physically capable of doing that. So you know, whatever. And then the ending when Superman dies, my only complaint about that, and I thought it was really emotional, but at the same time, it loses some of that because they've already announced Justice League and already announced that Superman's going to be in it. So it takes away a ton of the emotion that would have from that scene because you're like, oh, well, he's already going to come back to life. And we can, had they not announced Justice League, we could have assumed that, yeah, they're going to bring Superman back. Okay. But it wouldn't have been certain at that point. At that point, they had already released um, the information for Justice League. They've already started working on Justice League. Zack Snyder like tweeted out that picture of him and Jason Momoa. Um, and they've already announced that Superman's going to be in it. And to me, that just you're shooting yourself in the foot there. It's like, well, you're trying to have this emotional scene where Superman's dying, and whether or not you wanted that to happen, whatever. But it totally takes away from that they've already announced Justice League and he's already going to be in it. Because now you know for a solid fact he's coming back. And that was my only real complaint with that. I thought it was filmed very well. It was handled very well. But just the fact that they already announced Justice League kind of defeats the point. So I think that's it. So overall, I would probably give this movie an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really, really top-notch acting from most of the cast members. Actually, I didn't mention before, Amy Adams, I thought did excellent. She's always one of those actresses that, I mean, obviously she's very attractive, and she's not bad at acting. Just kind of like I was mentioning earlier about Superman, about how he was just kind of there. That's just how Amy Adams is to me. She's just always there. Same with Jessica Chastain. Excellent actress, very attractive, but she's just kind of there. She shows up, she does her job, and she goes home. She doesn't really do anything incredible to set herself apart, which isn't a bad thing. She's doing what she's getting paid to do, and that's fine. But as opposed to Ben Affleck, who just kills it. So we had great acting, great fight scenes, choreography was great, CGI was really good. I guess my only negatives were some of the spoiler things that I talked about that I won't mention here. And it was a little long, which is funny that I'm really excited for the extended version because this one was a little long. And how they tied in the Bruce Wayne origins with the parents being murdered, I think worked for the movie, but kind of like everyone else has said, we're done with that, guys. Even if you're not a comic book reader like me, we've seen the Bruce Wayne origins a million times. We're done. We know what happens. Just get over it. The movie was, and from a cinematic standpoint, is very beautiful. The movie looks amazing in terms of CGI and just the cinematography. And I think that's everything. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it enough to go see it a second time. I'll buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray, if that says anything about it. I think it's one of those where and maybe this was me, because up until the movie was coming out, I was getting really oddly excited. And I say oddly excited because I've never been a big Superman fan. I said I enjoyed Man of Steel, and I did. That was actually one of the first Superman movies that I've ever enjoyed. But overall, I just don't find the character of Superman that interesting, but I don't really want to get slaughtered by everyone on the internet, so we'll just stop there. But all the trailers that I saw for this movie, I was just really excited for. And then when the reviews started pouring in, a day or 2 days before, I got really nervous because all the reviews were like, yeah, it's sitting at 28, 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, maybe this movie sucks. And I went and saw it, and I'm like, did we watch the same movie? I mean, it's not going to win any Oscars. Maybe it'll it might get nominated for one for visual effects, but other than that, I don't really assume it. And it's not like the Oscars matter, but I saw people saying it was the worst movie they've ever seen and just absolute trash or whatever, and I had to go, no. Okay, you've either got to be just fanboys doing what fanboys do, because the internet, or people that just have these weird, unbelievably high expectations for this movie that just don't make any sense. So if you're an average moviegoer, hence my YouTube channel title, wow, maybe I'll learn how to speak English. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it. For parents, I think I'm also in my movie reviews just going to do a parent's guide for those that want it. In terms of language, there really wasn't a lot, maybe no more than 10 curse words in the whole movie. It is pretty violent, pretty dark, and there's the scene with uh, Lois Lane and Superman in the tub where you don't see anything, but some parents might consider that a little too risque for their children. That's up to your discretion. But yeah, there's not a lot of innuendos. It's, other than the violence, it's pretty mild for a PG-13 movie, I would say. So yeah, if you guys have any other movies you want me to review or have any questions, feel free to let me know, and hopefully I can keep this going. Thanks, guys.